Warning, there are people pretending to be me in the comments. This is what a comment from me looks like. Notice that the name is spelled perfectly, and notice the border around the name. That's how you know it's from me. You can also click on my name to make sure you actually go to my channel to double check. And this is what a comment from an imposter will look like. It has weird characters in the name or comment, and it's usually going to ask you to add them on WhatsApp or Telegram. I don't have WhatsApp or Telegram, and I would never ask you to add me on there. All right, so please be careful, use your common sense, and now let's get back to the video. Hey, how's it going, GPU heads? Thanks for clicking on my video. Seb Heslo here, and guys, today we are gonna do a mining deep dive review on this. So this is the new version of the RTX 3080. And it's been kind of just beefed up a little bit in general. It has 12 gigabytes of VRAM instead of 10 gigabytes that the regular 3080 has. It has a bit like a few more CUDA cores than the regular old 3080 has. And yeah, as I said, in general, it's just kind of been beefed up a little bit. And we're gonna put it through its paces today in terms of mining performance. And of course, we're also gonna put this against this, which is the old 10 gigabyte version 3080. So we're gonna compare these two as well and see what makes them different in terms of mining as well. So we're gonna be looking at what is the highest hash rate we can get on this GPU, what is the best efficiency we can get out of it, how much power does it consume, what is the profitability like, and we're gonna take a look at the overclock settings as well. A little bit more on that in just a bit. And we're gonna be testing all of those things on Ethereum Classic, but actually not so much on this one. I'll talk a little bit about that in just a bit. It's a bit strange right now, but just bear with me. We're also gonna look at Ravencoin, FIRO, Ergo, and Flux. So we're gonna be testing all of those coins in terms of mining performance on this GPU today. Now, do keep in mind that this is an LHR GPU, which means it has been hash rate limited on the ETH hash algorithm, which is the algorithm to mine Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. So it will be limited mining those coins, basically. And this is a video in an ongoing series of videos that I'm doing where I'm basically deep dive reviewing all of the current generation RTX and GTX GPUs from Nvidia, and I'm hoping to do some AMD reviews as well. So they'll be coming out soon on the channel, so subscribe if you don't want to miss that. And of course, if you do want to buy this GPU, what I'll do is I'll leave some links to buy this in the description of this video. Now, keep in mind, for full disclosure, those will be affiliate links, which means that the channel here gets a small commission if you buy through those links at no extra cost to you, basically. And yeah, as I said, I will be showing you my overclock settings for this GPU in the video here. But now do keep in mind that those settings are for my GPU, which means that they will not be optimal for your GPU. They might be close, kind of like a ballpark figure, but they will never be the perfectly optimal overclock settings for your GPU, because they are for my GPU, and every single GPU, even if it's the same brand and the same model, they are just different and need different overclock settings. But you don't have to worry, because I have a full guide on how to overclock any Nvidia GPU for mining any coin. So I'll leave a link for that up in the card there, as well as in the description of the video. But now let's hop on over there, and I'll tell you why mining Ethereum on this right now is a little bit strange. Alright guys, so basically it seems like because this GPU is still so new, the mining software hasn't really caught up to this GPU, and the sort of LHR unlock feature that most miners like T-Rex miner has currently, where they can unlock about 74% of the full hash rate of the card, just doesn't really work yet for this card. Now, I've tried many different things, different drivers, different LHR tune settings and all of that stuff, but it seems that it just doesn't really work yet, because it hasn't been properly implemented in the software yet. At least that is my guess of what's going on. So I'm going to show you the hash rate that I was able to get on this card for mining Ethereum. as well as kind of like what happens when you try to mine Ethereum. But what we're gonna do, and stick around for later in the video, is we're gonna take the hash rates that we're getting on the other coins. We're gonna test like Ravencoin and Ergo, and we're gonna compare those to the regular old version of the 3080 and see how much better is it at those coins. And we're gonna use that data to try to sort of guesstimate how much hash rate we will be able to get on this mining Ethereum when the mining software is able to properly unlock it and get that full 74% hash rate unlock on Ethereum for this card. So yeah, let's hop over to the computer and I'll show you what happens currently when you try to mine Ethereum on this GPU. Alright guys, so we are over at the computer now, and basically what we're gonna be doing here in this video is, first of all, I'm gonna show you what happens when you try to mine Ethereum on this GPU. Then we're gonna be doing all of the testing on the other coins like Ravencoin and so on, and see, you know, what the best hash rate and, you know, overclock settings and all of that stuff is for each of those coins. Then towards the end of the video, we're gonna put all of those results together, and we're gonna try to guesstimate sort of what the hash rate we can get on Ethereum for this GPU is. And then we're gonna look at profitability for mining on this GPU as well. So basically how much money you can make mining on it with the current mining profitability as of today. So with that out of the way, here on the screen you can see I got Tech Power Up GPU Z up. And you can see here it's the new 3080 with 12 gigabytes of VRAM. And here you can see the new device ID is 220A instead of whatever the other one is, 22 something else. And yeah, that is basically it. Some of you guys always want to see this, so there you go. And here you can see what happens on the screen when you open up the Ethereum miner. I'm mining on T-Rex right now, with all just stock settings except the fan on 80%, and it isn't detecting it as an LHR card. It thinks it's just a normal non-LHR, like full hash rate card. So it isn't trying to force the you know, unlock feature, the LHR unlock feature at all. And you can see with just stock clocks here, we're getting around 57.3 megahash per second. Now I'm going to do a little bit of testing here, but before I do that, I just want to show you what happens if you try to force the LHR unlock feature here. So I'm gonna close this and open the miner back up with the LHR unlock feature in place. So just give me one moment to do that. And to do that, all I have to do is add this little string here in the batch file for T-Rex. So I'm saying LHR tune 74, basically forcing T-Rex to try to do the unlock at a 74% level. So that's it, that's all I need to do. Alright, so guys, this is what happens when you try to force the LHR unlock. It's just LHR keeps kicking in no matter what I do. And as you can see here, LHR detected, and then it resumes, and then again now LHR detected, and it just keeps doing that. It keeps trying to lower the hash rate unlock feature. And basically I let this sit like this for a couple of hours just to see where it ends up. And with overclocks in place, as well as without overclocks in place, but the best result that I was able to get was around 51 megahash. And I mean, that is worse than just running it without an LHR unlock. So I believe this is due to there being some sort of device ID mismatch within T-Rex miner or something strange like that going on. I'm just gonna leave that where it is for now. I will test the hash rates just without the unlock feature to see what we can get, and then we'll move on to Ravencoin. Alright, so mining Ethereum with no unlocker in place, just with stock clocks trying to power limit, the best efficiency I was able to get is around 291 kilohash per watt, and that is at 50% power limit, where we're getting 56.5 megahash at 194 watts. Now I'm going to put the power limit back to 100% and see what the highest hash rate we can get on Ethereum with overclocking is. Alright, so best hash rate that I was able to get is 61.7 megahash at 265 watts, which gives us an efficiency of 233 kilohashes per watt. You can see my overclock settings down there. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start power limiting with the overclock settings in place and see what the best efficiency we can get that way is. Alright, so best efficiency I was able to find with overclocks in place was at 206 watts, where we are getting 60.6 mega hash or so for an efficiency of 294 kilohashes per watt, and that's at 53% power limit. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put power limit back to 100%, and I'm gonna do locked core clock instead and see if we can get better efficiency that way. Alright, so best efficiency I was able to find by doing locked core clock was actually pretty good for an LHR card with no LHR unlock on it. So I locked the core at around 650 megahertz, which is really low, but we're getting 61.1 mega hash at 206 watts thereabouts, for an efficiency of just under 300 kilohash per watt. That is basically it for Ethereum. Now we're gonna have a look at all of these numbers in the end of the video, so you can stay tuned for that. But now let's move over to Ravencoin / FIRO. Now, when it comes to mining Ravencoin and FIRO, what's really good is that they have a very similar algorithm. CorePow for Ravencoin and FIROPow for FIRO, which are both just slight variations of the ProgPow algorithm. And practically what that means for us is we just have to test one of them today. So I'm gonna test Ravencoin, and you know, the result will be that whatever we find in terms of hash rates, overclock settings, efficiencies, power usage, will be exactly the same for both Ravencoin and FIRO. So we just had to test one of them, and then we know the results will be the same for both of them. So I wait to save time there. But with that said, let's get into Ravencoin. Alright, so we are up and mining Ravencoin here, and with all stock settings we're getting around 51.2 or so mega hash per second at 314 watts, which gives us an efficiency of 163 kilohashes per watt. But now I'm gonna start power limiting at just stock clocks and see what the best efficiency we can get that way is. Alright, so basically the best efficiency that I was able to get was at the full 100% power limit. So yeah, that's it. Now I'm gonna keep this at 100% power limit and start overclocking, and we'll see what the highest possible hash rate we can get mining Ravencoin or FIRO is. Alright, so highest hash rate I was able to achieve was about 58.4 or so mega hash a second at 359 watts. That's pulling 100% power limit there, which gives us an efficiency of 163 kilohash per watt. So exactly what we got at stock clocks as well, used much higher hash rate, right? But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna start power limiting with the overclocks in place and see if we can get better efficiency that way. Alright guys, so interestingly enough, best efficiency when overclocked is still at 100% power limit, where we're getting again 58.4, 58.5 or so mega hash at 359 watts for an efficiency of 164 kilohashes per watt. Now I'm gonna try to lock the core clock instead of power limiting and see if we can get better efficiency that way. Alright guys, so basically locking the core clock for mining Ravencoin or FIRO was just worse, like getting lower hash rate at the same power consumption basically. So yeah, locking the core clock, not a good option on Ravencoin or FIRO, but that's it for those coins. Now let's move on over to Ergo. Alright, so here we are up and mining Ergo, and nothing really special to say about Ergo. It's just very straightforward. We're getting 226.6 mega hash at 307 watts for an efficiency of 741 kilohashes per watt. Now that is at completely stock settings, and what I'm going to do now is start power limiting with stock clocks and see what the best efficiency we can get that way is. Alright, so best efficiency with stock clocks was actually at 50% power limit, where we are getting 220 mega hash at 194 watts for an efficiency of 1.13 mega hash per watt. Now I'm gonna put power limit back to 100% and start overclocking to see what the highest hash rate we can get that way is. Alright, so overclocks are in place, and you can see the hash rate we're getting here is 262.9 mega hash at 341 watts, which gives us an efficiency of 771 kilohash per watt. and yeah, you can see the overclock settings down there. And now I'm going to start power limiting with the overclocks in place and see what the best efficiency we can get that way is. Alright guys, so the best efficiency I was able to find was at 55% power limit, where we are getting 255 megahash at 214 watts for an efficiency of around 1.19, 1.18 or so megahash per watt. And as you can see, I had to lower the memory clock quite a bit for some reason, but that's where we're at. Now I'm gonna try to get rid of the power limit and do a locked core clock instead and see if we can get better efficiency that way. Alright guys, so basically locking the core clock was just worse on Ergo, so I wouldn't recommend doing that, and that wraps it up for Ergo, so let's move on over to Flux. Alright guys, so we are up and mining Flux, and just with all stock settings here, we're getting around, well, just under 100 solutions per second, like 98 solutions per second or so, and that's at 389 watts for an efficiency of 0.25 solutions per second per watt. Now I'm going to start power limiting this to see what the best efficiency we can get at stock clocks is. Alright, so the best efficiency I could find at stock clocks was at 65% power limit, where we're getting around 78, 79 or so solutions per second at 253 watts for an efficiency of 0.312 solutions per second per watt. And now I'm going to put power limit back to 100% and see what the highest hash rate we can get with overclocks in place is. Alright, so as is often the case with Flux mining, overclocking really has a minimal effect on hash rate. With no overclocks, we got like 98 or so solutions per second. Now with maximum overclocks in place here, we got around 104 to 105 solutions per second, so just another 7 solutions per second, and that is at 385 watts or so for a efficiency of 0.273 solutions per second per watt. Now I'm going to power limit with the overclocks in place to see what the best efficiency we can get whilst overclocked is. Alright guys, so interestingly enough, once we start power limiting, the overclocking didn't really matter. We're getting basically the same hash rate of 79 solutions per second at 253 watts, and that was the best efficiency point that we found with no overclocks as well. So yeah, there you have it. That's the best efficiency for Flux. Now I am going to try to lock the core clock as well, and let's see if we can get better efficiency that way. Alright, so not very surprisingly, locking the core clock was just worse for Flux. We're getting about the same hash rate of 80 solutions per second, but at significantly higher power draw of 264 watts. So yeah, not recommended to use locked core clock for Flux. But that is it for our testing, so let's have a look at our results. Alright guys, so let's start with having a look at what this GPU could potentially do on Ethereum in terms of hash rate and efficiency once or if they get the 74% unlock to work. And the way I did that was I took the old 10 gigabyte version of the 3080 and I just ran that with overclock settings without any sort of LHR unlock setting, and that gives us about 55.5 mega hash for an efficiency of 310 kilohash per watt. And then what I did was I just compared that to what that GPU gets with the unlock, both in terms of hash rate and efficiency. And then I just saw, okay, what exactly, like how much does that GPU gain from the LHR unlock, the 74% LHR unlock, you know? And then I applied like that same percentage increase to the 3080. And so the new 3080, that is the 12 gigabyte version, the version this video is about. And basically that said that we should be able to get 84 mega hash out of this GPU with the 74% unlock at 265 watts for an efficiency of 317 kilohashes per watt. And comparing that to the old 10 gig version of the 3080, I mean, it is slightly worse in terms of efficiency, but of course it is better in terms of hash rate. Now, of course, these are just hypothetical numbers until we actually can see that the unlocker will work for this card. So until then, the numbers we have here are best possible hash rate was 61.7 mega hash at 266 watts, or the best possible efficiency was at 205 watts, giving you 61.1 mega hash, which is totally a trade-off you should be willing to do, because you're only sacrificing like 1% in terms of hash rate, but you are gaining a big, like a massive advantage in terms of wattage, going down from 266 watts to just 205 watts. So that is for sure the way to go for mining Ethereum on this GPU. Now let's move over to Ravencoin and FIRO, where basically power limiting was just worse, and locked core clock was just worse as well. The best you can do there is about 58.5 mega hash, pulling basically full TDP at 360 watts for an efficiency of 163 kilohashes per watt. And comparing that to the regular 3080 or the old version 3080, it's a definite like big jump up in hash rate from 51 mega hash. And in terms of efficiency, it is worse. The new 3080 version is worse at 163 kilohashes per watt instead of 176. So significantly worse there in terms of efficiency, but of course better in terms of total hash rate. Now, if we're looking at Ergo, again, efficiency slightly worse at 1.19 instead of 1.23. But like maximum hash rate, a big jump up again from 230 to 262. So there you go. It's kind of same story that we're seeing throughout all of this. Hash rate is better, but efficiency is worse. And finally, for Flux, we saw the greatest hash rate we could get was 105 solutions per second, as opposed to 96 on the older version of the 3080. And as for efficiency, the best we could get was 0.312, and on the older one we got 0.365. So the kind of overall theme of this GPU, I guess, is it is giving you higher hash rate than the older version, but worse in terms of efficiency. Now, what I have done is I've taken all of these numbers here. Well, first of all, this spreadsheet, you can find a copy of it in the link in the description if you want to have a look at this, and that has all of my GPUs I've tested on it here. But what I've done now is I've taken all of these numbers here and I've plugged them into what to mine, so that we can see profitability of mining on this GPU like as of today, right? So I've already plugged in all the numbers here, so let's just hit calculate and see what we get. So on top we have Ravencoin, which will make you, actually these aren't quite in order, so let me just have a look here. Okay, so most profitable is actually Ergo at $3 per day after electricity cost, which I've put as 10 cents per kilowatt hour. Then we have Flux at $2.88 per day. Then in third place we've got Ravencoin at $2.79 per day. And just after that we have Ethereum at $2.78 per day. And then we have FIRO at $2.60 per day. We also have Ethereum Classic at $1.29 per day. But that is basically it for profitability on this GPU. And if you like this video, then please give it one of these. I'd really appreciate it. And what you gotta do now is you gotta click on that next video on the screen. Because this video is over, you can also click the picture on my face to subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate that. But yeah, go click on that next video and I'll see you there. Goodbye. Goodbye, bye bye.